Welcome back to the Coach Business School podcast. The accreditation boards will not like this conversation. I'm going to reveal what that is in a moment. Just a quick reminder, as always, these episodes are brought to you by my Coach Business School, or coachbusiness.school if you want to visit the website, the home of successful coaches. Not only do we train our students to become fully qualified coaches with our treble accredited diploma in positive psychology and coaching psychology, we also help qualified coaches become or create the coaching business of their dreams with our MBA course. So we have you covered wherever you are on your coaching adventure. We're about to release our latest specialism as well, which will be ADHD coaching. How cool is that? Alongside with our other specialism, alcohol-free performance coaching. There is one of those running in March. So do check that out if you're already a qualified coach and you want to come and train with me in my specialism, which is alcohol-free performance coaching. Again, go to coachbusiness.school. You can always book a call with one of the team. We are here to help, or drop us a note at team@andyramage.com. All right, today's conversation is controversial, but it's not. In my mind, it's not. In the world of coaching, there is a skill that we must cultivate. Let's begin there, which is the essence of pure coaching. That is client-driven, i.e. we're not in the conversation in that traditional sense. For those that are new to coaching, we don't lead the conversation. We allow our clients to take it where it wants to go. We just ask them brilliant questions to help them explore their beautiful brains effectively. And in doing so, they get to places and spaces they would never get to on their own. And it's transformative when it's done well. I train all our students how to do this, but we coach at the level of beliefs effectively. So really what we're trying to do with that energy in that coaching space is leave lots of pauses and silence for really our clients to do all the work. They should be doing the heavy lifting. We're probably talking 10% to their 90% of the time. We are not telling them what to do. That's not coaching, that's mentoring. So that drilled skill of becoming a coach is so valuable, because when you take that same skill set and you combine it with mentoring, for example, mentoring becomes really powerful, because without it, mentoring just becomes advice giving, which by and large doesn't quite work on its own. And when you combine it with teaching as well, there's new things for your clients to learn. Now, here's the bit where there's a bit of confusion, I think, at times, and it's this. The awarding bodies, and we're accredited by three, ICF, EMCC and AC, they really focus on that pure essence of coaching, right? So again, that's as described. It's not about you. You're not putting advice in there. You're not telling someone what they should or shouldn't do. You're not leading the conversation. It's all about your clients. That is really, really important. I cannot stress that enough, how important that skill is. And that's why in all our trainings, we just drill that skill. We don't drill the skill of mentoring or the skill of teaching effectively, because we just focus on that drilled skill of coaching. That's the skill that really people need. However, I think this trips a lot of people up in many ways, and I think it confuses a lot of our students as well, and our graduates and our qualified coaches and coaches out there more generally, that because of the way the accreditations are set up, it lends itself to a slight misconception that you can't coach in any other style, and if you do, you're doing it wrong. So I have a saying at first, well, it's not my saying, I borrowed it from the Dalai Lama, actually. At first, you must learn to obey the rules correctly so you can break them properly. I coach in the real world, right? This is a great thing, I think, about hopefully tuning in to these conversations, or anyone that's trained with me. I'm actively coaching all the time. It's not something I did many moons ago, and I built a curriculum out of it, and I also train coaches. I think a lot of providers end up stuck in that space, running just some like old tape from 10 years ago that's just out of date, or blindly, and I'm going to say blindly, following the accreditation bodies. Because I think if you blindly follow the accreditation bodies, yes, you could end up with a coach training course, for example, that it's just not that realistic in the real world. Now, here's where I'm going with this. Coaching evolves all the time. My coaching evolves all the time, right? I'm not the same coach I was last year, let alone 10 years ago. And I think we have to be willing and courageous enough to evolve with it. So a lot of what's happened to me more recently is that I found myself in a coaching situation where lots of people have been coming to me without any clear-cut goals. So I provide a service within various organizations, a retained coach. I go into those organizations and I coach. I'm available to all their senior staff, for example. And the results we've had in one particular organisation over the last few years has been quite staggering in terms of the value added from coaching, such as longevity of key staff. I mean, depending on the organisation, that could be worth, and in this instance, it could be worth hundreds of millions. The retention's gone up. Key groups of staff have come to me to work through their next steps whilst they've been tempted to leave. They've ended up staying. What's that worth to the company? Improved performance, what's that worth to the company? Less presenteeism, what's that worth to the company? People dealing with really challenging home situations that have still been able to show up and perform to some degree, what's that worth to the company? Like, the wins keep compounding, they are huge, versus the investment in my coaching, for example, which is really exciting for me because I believe that arbitrage is open in most organizations. I don't want to go too far off piece, but what I mean by that is, i.e., the investment in a coach or coach program is vastly outweighed by the potential financial benefits of having a coach. If that's the case, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? You might as well leverage that. You might as well have a coach in every organization, or a really skilled one, especially one that we've trained at the Coach Business School, because if by having that coach, longevity of key staff goes up and you save a fortune, if retention goes up, if attraction of new staff goes up, if performance goes up, like, run the maths. It's an absolute no-brainer. It's the biggest open goal in business. For example, I've gone off piste, but I'm coming back to the piste right about now. On the blue run, I'm getting back to the blue run. So where I'm going with this is that because I'm available to lots of these staff, lots of them don't have a clear-cut goal. So they don't sit down and go, that's it, I want to run a marathon. I want to grow my business by, $1 million or whatever it might be. It's a bit like, how's it going? Like, what's this about? Like, what do you do? And of course, right, then I'm in that situation of, well, I could fall into the pure coaching mode, right? I can't direct. It's all about them. And what's your goal for this situation? And they're going to sit across the table at me really confused going, I don't even know what this is, let alone where my goal's going. So I've had to adapt and adjust my style. So my style in this organization has involved a lot more teaching because, I say this to our students all the time, you have to live the learning, right? And if you live the learning, you will gain so much from becoming a coach. In fact, you will perform better in every domain of your life. In fact, I would argue if you've got an existing career, you'll send that career to a whole different stratosphere once you understand the concepts of coaching. It's so valuable in the same way that it's so valuable to be coached. So for me, when it comes to coaching, like, living that learning is really important. And we learn so much wonderful insights. People get to learn from me, and I've spent 10 years learning from the books. But way more powerful than that is that we get to learn from each other. All the best wisdom's in the group. I'm just like framing the group. So we end up with all these lessons, some of them from positive psychology, some of them from ancient wisdom, some of them from our own data bank of obstacles and life challenges we've overcome. Now, to not share that information seems a bit of I think we're doing people a disservice. Now, if you train as a coach with us, for example, you learn all that information, right? So we go on this transformative journey, but the whole object of what we're trying to do is help our clients go on a transformative journey as well. Therefore, if we've got all these banks of learning, why not introduce those to your coaching and take someone on a journey of learning as well as coaching? So, back to the piste. I've had to bring teaching into those coaching sessions because it creates a new energy when someone's really a bit like, what even is this thing? How does it all work? And of course, chemistry sessions aside and explaining what coaching is and isn't, I'm talking about imparting some of this knowledge so that someone's got a deeper understanding of their own mind, so helping them train their mind, which then generates insights, reflections, and goals very often, which creates momentum in our coaching sessions where there was none. Okay, so this is where I'm going with this. So I'm really coming back to the conclusion that there's 3 modes of coaching. There is teaching mode, coaching mode, and mentoring mode. And I think they're all valuable. I said at the start of this conversation, the most valuable is coaching mode. And that's where we want to spend most of our time as a coach, in coaching mode. But equally, there are moments when mentoring mode is really applicable. Now, I think we have to own that as well. I said it to all of our students. If you've got an incredible, and again, what I'd say to all our students is the best place to position your coaching is in a place where you've got experience already, such as, or there's meaning and purpose there because you've overcome that obstacle. For example, transformed your relationship with alcohol, or in a career achieved a certain level or worked in a certain industry. So we've got some experience to share, right, by that very nature. What we're avoiding, though, is just littering the whole conversation with those shares, right? Because then it's not coaching. So we've got distinct coach mode, distinct mentoring mode. When we're in mentoring mode, that might be the moment that we impart some options that our client couldn't see for themselves because they don't have our lived experience, in a nutshell. And I think if you bring this into your coaching like I do, you have to just be clear what mode you're in so it doesn't get confusing for people. And literally, I would say I'm going into coach mode now, and then voomp, I'm out the conversation. They're doing all the work. They're leading the way. There might come a point I'm going to move into mentoring mode to offer a couple of options that they couldn't see. There also might be, and this is where I want to go to now, a moment of teaching mode. So, as my coaching's evolved, what I've realized is prefixing or starting a session in teaching mode and then getting into coach mode has been really working well. And what I've realized is by sharing some of those insights, those learns around how your brain works or how your mind works, then makes the rest of the coaching session, when I get into coach mode, way more efficient, because now we've got a shared language. For example, let's say that I'm sharing with one of my clients about a concept like the map is not the territory, which in a nutshell is a concept from NLP that really originates back in ancient philosophy, that it's not the events that shape our lives but our beliefs about them, and by challenging your beliefs then you can change the way you feel and the actions that follow. Ultimately, that's elite level coaching. That's what I'm trying to get our coaches to do. Now, we can do that through coaching, right? Of course we can, by challenging someone's beliefs, or before the session we can tell them exactly why we're doing that and the theory behind it, which is a life-changing bit of insight anyway. It's the great ancient philosophical wisdom from, the Stoics that has transformed minds ever since. So effectively, we're introducing our client to this unbelievable, ground-shaking wisdom. And now we've got a shared language, because then when we get into coach mode and they run up against a limiting belief, it makes much more sense that I'm the coach challenging that limiting belief, because now they understand how beliefs work, if that makes sense. So what I found, again, through lived experience, this is not theory, this is not me doing this 20 years ago and making it up as I go along, I'm doing it right now, that actually my coaching sessions have been way better. And if you look at a coaching session in terms of timings, I saw some work around suggesting 30, 45 minutes is optimal for a coach mode, right? So if you're an hour long, you've got 15, 30 minutes potentially for teaching mode. And then you've still got plenty of time to deliver something that's really impactful in coach mode. That makes sense. So the reason I sort of titled this that the awarding bodies wouldn't like this is because they are really fixated with coach mode. And I totally understand that, by the way, and it is really important, because that is the skill we all need to drill as coaches. I'm just repeating myself there. But the reality of it is, when you go out into the world, often it is a combination of coach mode, a little bit of mentoring mode, and a bit of teaching mode. What I'm suggesting is, through this lived experience, I've just introducing a lot more teach mode into my wraparound coaching session. And it's getting great results. Now, if you think about that then as a coach, it's where it gets really exciting. You can then almost map out a learning journey for your clients, right? Let's just say it's over 6 sessions. So then through each of these sessions, you're going to introduce a new concept, right, of how they can train their mind better. With total confidence, by the end of those 6 sessions, those coaching sessions, forget about the coach mode and their goals and all the objectives they might have achieved. They're still going to come away from those 6 sessions with this incredible new wisdom that they wouldn't have had before, that can fundamentally change the way they see the world, the way they operate in the world, the way they run their mind. It can put them in a friendly universe rather than a hostile one. game changer, transformative. I'm going to go and tell my friends about it, and their friends about it, and their friends about it, because I've just had this most amazing experience with a coach. I've learned all of these incredible insights, as well as coach mode. Had my own thinking challenged and changed. I've overcome obstacles that I'd faced. I've dealt with situations with much more effectiveness. I'm running my brain better. I'm getting more stuff done. I'm achieving my goals. More transformation, more reason to tell my friends, my organization, my line managers, how powerful this thing really is. So I want to get you excited as coaches, and I also want you to think outside the box. I'm really good at doing that, and what I mean by that is, and I don't mean that in a sort of big-headed way, what I mean, I'm quite happy to challenge, and this wasn't always a skill that I had, but I'm really happy to challenge the best wisdom in the world. I.e., I don't read something and go, right, that's a fact, I'm gonna, like, that is like a nailed on fact, because this really important person just said that, or this really important bit of research just says that. I'm going to be brave enough to let it wash over me, but also courageous enough to challenge it and go, well, that don't match up to my lived experience in the real world. Therefore, you can put all the science you like behind that, or you can have the greatest wisdom on this planet behind that, but that doesn't match what I'm seeing in my world. Therefore, I'm going to completely ignore all of that, or I'm going to reshape it in a way that I think will work more effectively in my real world. And I think that's the best way to operate, right, in life. So I find that I've had to drill that skill over time. What I appreciate is that not everyone is like that, right? Because they haven't drilled that skill. We've all got different maps. So for lots of people, it is, well, if that's what the textbooks are saying, if that's what the accreditation bodies are saying, I need to do that because that's the way my brain works. And I don't want to step outside of those boundaries because they've told me that's the right way to do it. Therefore, I want to do it the right way. I don't want to suddenly fall into mentor mode or teaching mode, because if I do, then I'm not doing coaching properly. And if I'm not doing coaching properly, people are not going to value what I do. What I'm trying to, hopefully, is take away some of that angst and just say, be courageous. Be courageous with this, as long as you're distinct in the modes. So distinct, I'm teaching mode. Distinct, I'm coaching mode. Distinct, I'm mentoring mode. Not just a sort of jumbled mess of everything, because then it's difficult to know what on earth you're doing, and that doesn't really feel like any one of those things. I think if you keep to your modes, you can do it really effectively and efficiently. Food for thought. I'd love to know your thoughts and your ideas. Do keep them coming. Hopefully you enjoy these episodes. And don't forget, go to coachbusiness.school if you want to know more about what we do. If you want to come and train with me on the full diploma to get treble accredited and learn all these incredible insights that you can share with people. Or equally, if you're already a qualified coach and you want to learn how to grow a coaching business of your dreams, equally, go to coachbusiness.school. Keep coaching. Your coach, Andy.